Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to a high-level best of 5 from the ESL Master Spring. Today we have Clem in the bottom right, the French Terran player, who for a long while was known for his TVZ, nowadays is known for all of his matchups, because he's freaking good. And in the top left, the player that at least one person considers the GOAT, as it's Rogue. Of course, infamously known as the GOAT by Artosis. Artos is very, very passionate about the fact that Rogue is more, more achieved. Has achieved more than Serral has, and Maru. I'm not actually sure who Artosis thinks is the second best, but I think he might believe it's... I actually don't know. I wonder if it's Maru or Serral. Either way, Rogue Force is a fantastic player, 2-time world champion. I'm not even sure if that's true. I think he's a 1-time world champion and an Intellect 3 Masters Katowice winner. Won 4 GSLs, I want to say. Maybe even 5. No, it's 4, definitely. Maru the only player to have won 5. At this point, I think Maru has actually won 8, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, let's have a look at this. You have triple command centers. You have 5 Reapers, 4 Reapers. Okay. Clem with some solid control on those 4 Reapers. Gonna follow it up with a 2-on-1 type of setup here. Factory into reactor. Double reactor. Excuse me. You've been excused. What the hell is this? Double reactor. That's not a build. At least not a build that I'm familiar with. Metabolic boost is about to finish up. Now they've sparked my curiosity. This would make sense if the factory was on the low ground. Okay, it's a third factory. What, a third reactor? Okay, he cancelled it. It was a mistake. Okay, well that makes the most sense out of everything. I was so confused what he was going to do with 2 reactors. Just pump Marines till the end of time. I mean, it's allowed. There's no law against it, but it is something that you don't see a whole lot. It's going to be quick stim here instead. On the tech lab. Well, not as quick as he ideally would have liked it. What is Rogue doing here? Rogue, when Clem initially was coming up, I think Rogue actually was one of the only players that could pretty consistently beat him. And the way that Rogue used to do it back in the day was with 1-1 roach timings. Because I remember that European Zergs would be like, Clem is impossible to beat, he's so good, his mind style is, it's insane. And then Rogue would show up and kill him with 1-1 upgraded roaches. And then Zerg players would be like, this doesn't work against Clem, this only works in cross-ping, next time it won't work. And then Rogue played him again, played 1-1 roach once more, and won the game again. It's like, pretty impressive. It sometimes feels very frustrating when you watch people do like an all-in or a committed attack, and it always works for them, but when you do it, it doesn't. And often has to do with just the execution of the attack or, how well you get there. But when you're watching it, it's sometimes difficult to see the difference between what you are doing and between what someone else is doing. Like you're both doing the same aggressive build, you're both hitting at a similar timing, yet you lose and the other dude wins. And those can be very small things, like just the way you engage or the way you micro mid-fight. Things that feel difficult to change. Because they're kind of, you need to be capable of doing them. This is why a lot of Terrans hate watching Clem play as well, because his micro is so good. So you watch Clem defend something, it's like, well, that shouldn't be possible. But then it is. Or you see him like move across the map with 6 Marines and a mine in a medevac and dodging every single stalker shot by picking up individual Marines. Like, well, that sucks. Because I can't do that. This is not a solid way for me to hold it. This is a solid way for Clem to hold it. But I'm currently not capable of this. So I need to figure something else out. Either way, we're going to have a bunch of Marines moving out across the map with the 2 medevacs as well. You have 4 Hellions, and it's indeed going to be 1-1 Roach. I love that. Some things never change. Clem versus Rogue. Ooh! Didn't get the Queen kill. He could have gotten it had he kept his Liberator in position just a tiny tad longer. Rogue moves towards the high ground. This is in range, right? Surely this is in range. Clem is not unsieging the Liberator quite yet. As a result, gonna lose it. We have the first 4 roaches now in production. That's not true. There's already 3 roaches out. That means that we're going to go up to 10 roaches here apparently total. Wow. 5 more Overlords as well coming in as we have a big fat stim. Overlord gets sniped. Marines moving in forward. And pulling back. Ooh. Double drop pickup. There's a bunch of Lings here taking out 4 SCVs. Not being controlled by a rogue. As a result, we'll end up dying, at least majority of them. Fort base in some trouble though. I'm just gonna unload and actually right click it. Combat shield helping out there as well. It is just going to be a committed 1-1 roach timing attack. An old school 1-1 roach timing attack. Exactly how Rogue used to do it back in the day. Back in 2020. Which I think was the period where Clem was the strongest in the TVZ matchup. Like 2020, 2021. He had some insane run where he hardly ever lost anything. And the only times he lost were cross-server with ping. Most of the time against Rogue. Nidus network as well coming down. Do we have some... Not really, right? Don't have a lot of space anywhere. Overseer coming up. This is technically an area which is hidden, but it's tight, it's tight. Tank count's going to be at 3. Upgrades will be at 1-1 versus 1-1. We don't have any extra bunkers. Do have some random depots being added into the mix. This tank is moving back just a bit. Where's the third tank? Oh, it's over here. I'm just blind. My apologies. Here comes the attack out of Rogue. 170 supply of roaches with 1-1 upgrades. Clem fights out of tank range for a little bit. Now 2 tanks start firing. Piles raining down on top of this Marine army, which is not being microed. 1 medevac falls as well. This is not the greatest position for Clem, who pulls back a little bit more. First tank will go down, but Clem holds, at least for now. He decides to fight out of tank range. Doesn't go so well. Lose about 10-15 supply there in Marines. As a new tank has been added into the mix. Are there any roaches in this thing? No, not quite. Just gonna be queens for now. Okay, a couple of roaches do show up. Creep tumor goes down as well. New Nidus network. Outside at the third base, tanks remain in position as the biles hit. And we're gonna take out this second tank as well. There's still a tank in the natural, but that's not so great if you're trying to defend your third base. At the same time, main is going to get defended as there's plenty of Marines in position. That means this Nidus will end up falling, but the third base is the one that's in serious trouble right now. 13 SCVs falling. What is the follow-up here for Rogue? The follow-up seems to be quite honest, more roaches. No extra upgrades, just more roaches, and that is all there is to it. Nothing in the main base to help defend against this Nidus network. Clem not quite paying attention. 178 supply to 118. Another depot will fall. If that 4cc finishes up, that could be something. That could be a lifeline for Clem, but I don't quite see it finishing up. Nidus network is gonna finish up. Do we have a transfuse? We had one available, but it wasn't used. Another Nidus network goes down as these Marines are starting to fall, and the second factory is burning down. Will need to be repaired at some point. Barracks now being targeted down. Once again, roaches hitting the third. There are a lot of Marines here, and we have plenty of medevacs, so I actually believe that Clem is going to hold this area for now. Question is, can he hold the main? And the answer to that is most likely going to be no, as loads and loads of roaches are popping out. Another tank shows up, but one tank has fallen as well. Overall, the amount of tanks going down is 4. Rogue gets the victory here in game number 1, old school. A frustrating first loss for Clem, who felt to be in an okay position after the early game defense, or after the earliest defense, the first defense. And once the Nidus goes up in the main, you're going to be in trouble. I often feels that roach attacks are very holdable as long as it's just coming from one direction, because the tanks, they play a vital role in defending, and they're not great when split up. That's really just a failure out of Clem. Reinforcements or, you know, a couple of Marines, a couple of SCVs could have definitely cleared that Nidus in time had he responded to it in time, but he didn't. As a result, is it's down 1-0. He's gonna go for an SCV scout as well. Doesn't want to leave anything to the Lady Fortune here. He makes his own fortune, this guy. And this is really how he got big in this matchup. So this really standard setup. SCV scout every single freaking game, making sure that he can't die to anything weird early on. Then following it up with a triple CC. So often with Banshee or with Liberator as the harassment units. Starting with a Reaper here. This is played on low ping, so we're expecting big things. At least one link kill, that's what we want. Queen pops out at 236. Both players will be aware of that. Okay, he's gonna get one link there. Nice micro. Could get a second one perhaps. No, it's not going to. As the drones come down. Clem here with an attempt. Attempted snipe doesn't quite get it. Almost got that creep tumor. Needed just one more shot on it, but didn't quite manage to get in there. Sneak it in. Triple CC started. We have this SCV idling because he wants to build a starport. Gonna see starport. Ooh, okay. Hellions before the starport. So that might lead to a barracks here. No, it's still gonna be a starport. Wow. Hellion into starport. Usually we see starport into Hellion. So this means it's extremely unlikely, first of all, that's gonna be Banshee based on the gas timing. I am strongly feeling like a kind of a Viking vibe here, or a Liberator vibe. I'd say Viking as the first unit. Maybe even 2 units. Viking into Liberator. That would be a crazy vibe. Attack lap starts though. Maybe I'm just an idiot. That is possible. Ooh, can I get a bounce back? A bounce by? Reaper in some trouble. These drones also in some trouble, as the Hellions are gonna get 2 kills. What is the amount of workers that we start feeling good about ourselves? That's what I want to know. He's gonna go for another shot. Ooh, gets 6 total. And gets to keep a Hellion alive as well. It is actually going to be Banshee. This is not what I'd expected. With the gas timing and the initial Hellions. No way, he's gonna go back in again, or was looking for it at least. Metabolic boost not quite done. Needs to send one of these cars back home because it's just simply too low. There's no reason for you to keep it here, buddy, because it's just gonna die and you know it. It's just gonna be Banshee. 5 cars. 7 cars. I mean, this Hellion is so low. It is 2 HP remaining. I think it's a bit ridiculous to keep it around here. These Hellions are gonna find this potential Ling run by. That Hellion is holding back the ability for Clem to really get any damage in. That's a problem that I see. Banshee not in position to deal with these Lings. Lings do get a scout and get at least 1 kill, perhaps even a second one here potentially. There we go. Second one, third, fourth. Ooh, 4 kills with a minor Ling run by. That's nice. Of course, that initial Hellion attack did deal some serious damage. Try to run by with the cars now. Doesn't quite succeed. Lairs coming in. 2 more gases here. 1 more gas in here. 1 more gas in here. Double evos. What are we working towards here, Rogue? Don't have any tech yet. No Baneling Nest. No Roach Warren. These Lings manage to... Very impressive. They're the Agent 47s of this game. You know, they're kind of... You don't notice they're there, and then they go in and they deal a lot of damage and they piss off. And if they die, it's really not the end of the world, because you can just revive yourself from the last checkpoint. That's Hitman for you. That's also these Lings. Really been capable of dealing quite a bit of damage. 71 workers as well. It's like good worker count. Pretty curious to see how Clem is actually gonna play it from here, because his Banshees, have they dealt a lot of damage? No, I think this is mainly the Hellions from earlier on. Banshees have been dealing with Lings, if anything, and here they come. They have been spotted as well, but this is not gonna do anything. Or at least it shouldn't do anything. Queen could move in position to deal with this. It's gonna be -1, it's gonna be -2, it's gonna be -3. Not a Queen under fire, but I don't think, honestly, a Rogue gives a crap about 3 workers and a bit of damage on a Queen. This has been really good out of Rogue. He's honestly just kind of owning Clem here in the early game. Now, Golden Aura is considered a good Zerg map, or at least it's considered one of the best Zerg maps in the current map pool. Clem moving out without the tanks. It's a good call, because once again Agent 47 is ready to send it. Couple of Lings coming in from the right side. Hydra Den being constructed, as well as Burrow. Here we go, tank on the high ground. Should be capable of dealing some damage. Gets a couple of kills. Factory under attack is not gonna really get anything done here. As the tank, Some friendly fire. We'll lose 6 SCVs still. At the same time, Rogue doesn't have a whole lot of units here. Baneling's not quite done. Baneling's speed not quite done. As the Queens are actually in a bit of trouble now. Clem gets a very decent trade here. A very fair trade indeed. So he picks up, and this was great. Resources lost, looking healthy. 1-to-2 ratio here almost. 5 more SCVs going down to... I guess it was 2 Banshees, but now only 1 left. Clem is finding some damage here. This is phenomenal stuff. This really is. Sees the Hydra then as well. Gonna get another kill on a drone and another kill on a drone. And now even gets to fly away, which is phenomenal. Still hold positions here. Maybe even gets a Queen kill. Yep, there we go, sir. That's beautiful. Marines back in action as well. Just like the Looney Tunes, they will survive. 4GC stays up. More tanks on the way. Clem really turned this game around. That's impressive. Because this wasn't looking good. But look at our resources lost. We're just kind of keeping it open here because it's so funny. 2300 to 5k. Banshee went down. More units now moving towards the right. Good luck holding this. Was that the 4th? 4th and 5th at the same time is going to be a challenge. Because holding 1 base at the same time is already a challenge. Queen count is at 3. Baneling count at 15. Link count is pretty decent. Pretty decent, but yeah, you're gonna need banelings here, buddy. Pure links surrounding Marines. Good luck with that, Chief. As 1 Marine gets Kerrigan behind. There is a single spore in the main base. The double drop now is heading over towards the right. Burrowed Ling actually providing vision here, but the target fire on the Banes is phenomenal. And that means that this is going to not be enough here for Rogue, who needs to send in reinforcements. We're gonna get the double medevac pickup. At the same time, we had the drop down over here near the 4th base. And I feel like we're 1 reinforcement cycle away from Clem just kind of walking over his opponent. We see Rogue not even quite thinking about a hive. He doesn't have an infestation pit. He's pretty much stuck on the 2-2 Hydra Ling Bane here. Doesn't have a whole lot of creep either. As Clem is just rallying across the map and he's bringing the big boys now, the big guns, the tanks. And once the tanks arrive, then... Well, first of all, Clem is going to be a bit more vulnerable, but also Rogue is going to have a much harder time dealing with this, because there's some... Oh my god, he has... What? He has 6 tanks? I guess he never stopped building tanks here. I mean, I thought this was just going to be like 2 tanks or so, but 6 tanks is a serious amount. We're nowhere near Vipers. Clem actually magically just managed to max out in the last 30 seconds. And we're going to have a fight here. 1-1 upgrades versus soon to be 1-2. But not quite. Tanks dishing out a lot of damage. At the same time, the left is pretty much being abandoned. So we're taking the kind of a position on the right here with those tanks. No Vipers nearby for Blinding Cloud. Means that these tanks are just dealing too much damage. Marines now moving forward into those Hydras. At the same time, on the left side, Hydra's trying to save. Not going to be good enough. GG! As Clem ties up the series. 1-1. That was such an impressive game out of Clem. Given how... honestly mediocre his early game went. Yes, he had the initial damage with the Hellions. But then afterwards it felt like his Banshee flying didn't do a whole lot. Rogue got to a good worker count. Cleared like maybe 8-9 SCVs with run-bys. Maybe even 10. I don't know, I'm not great at counting. Just felt like Clem was struggling, to be honest. He respects his opponent's ability for aggression. Once again going for an SCV scout. I'm not sure if Clem always SCV scouts nowadays. It felt to me like he kind of stopped doing that and has started not SCV scouting. But because he's afraid of Rogue, he's now doing it. I always like seeing this type of interaction. I'm not sure if it's true. But if it's true, then I think that's really cool. Like kind of just tuning the play to the opponent. Kind of shows that Rogue is a scary dude, you know? He can play a lot of things. It's the same with Dark, honestly. Ooh. Gonna go for a block here. On the 3rd base, of course. That's possible in Oceanborn. Could even see a block with a building as well, but usually not necessary. It's actually gonna fight with the SCV. It's the Reapers moving in. Clem, can he get a block? Oh, close. Almost got the block there. It's the drones now turning around. It's gonna try to get a shot off. Oh. The dance. The dance which gets won by Clem. He is a phenomenal dancer. Perhaps the best. Ooh, Rogue though. Sneaking by the links at the same time. Look at this. Both players so aware. Metagaming the metagames. This is beautiful to see. This is StarCraft. Reaper went back. Like, I don't think you could have escaped that far. And indeed, Rogue went up the ramp to save his links. Now, perhaps they're going to meet each other again. Clem, did you see that? No, he didn't. It was in vision there for a millisecond. That's so funny. That is actually great. This time we're going to get a much quicker starport, skipping the initial 2 Hellions. Faster gas as well. Oi, 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 oi. So Ling is actually gonna end up falling. Metabolic boost is finishing up soon as well. This is a rushed out speed. Really rushed out speed. Rogue keen on getting that out. So he can deal with the Reaper and the potential cars. You have this orbital command coming in as well. And what's up next? That's the real question that we have here. So that Ling is bumping into the depot. Being a Ling in the early game is not great living, let me tell you. When you're not being sacrificed as a scout, you're dealing with freaking Hellions and Reapers. I mean, you thought you finally survived the early game, you're being sent in for a run by at the 3rd base, where you know there's going to be a tank on the high ground. Or you're pretending to surround the Marine force while the Queens are shooting at a medevac. You're disposable in like 6 different ways. You finally manage to defend all of that. The big commander tells you to morph your body into a Baneling. To become a suicide terrorist. It's like, man, that's great. Glad I survived for this. That is just beautiful. You have 4 cars out. 6 cars out, my apologies. Banshee's on the way. 2 more barracks as well. You know what I think Clem should probably try to mix in a little bit? Is some of these Hellbat builds that we've been seeing someone like Oliveira do. And Maru and Gumiho. It's funny how cultural aggression tends to be. Like, I don't know why it is, but the highest level of players in Europe all are kind of standard macro players. Serral, Clem, Max Specs, Raynor. None of them really are kind of wild in a way that Hero and Dark are, or even Oliveira, who tends to be a lot more aggressive. Yeah, still a heavy macro focus, but much more diversity in the early game. That is kind of funny to think about. I don't quite know why that is. Especially given that Americans, I guess we don't really have any high-level Americans in the same way that we have high-level Europeans, right? Like the highest level American is nowhere close near the highest level European, I think. I believe we have 4 Europeans currently truly capable of matching up with Koreans, and those are going to be Max Pax, Clem, Raynor, and Serral. These are very high-level players, and on a good day, they can all be championship contenders. We have 4 or 5 players like that in Korea as well. I think we have Dark, we have Hero, we have Maru. Dare I say Cure? No, I don't really dare. Dare I say Beyond? No, I don't really dare. I guess Max Spec is not really a championship contestant because he doesn't tend to compete in championships that are offline. I guess both regions really have 3 solid players that most of the time are going to be the favorites for a majority of the tournaments. I don't think I'm missing anyone here, am I? Guess Solar is like an outsider. Drones being taken out here by the Banshee. Yeah, this early game looks very different. 34 links have gone down. 12 drones, 13 drones. Still continuing. 3 queens as well. Look at this. Clem has won the game. Clem has actually won the game already. The problem here for Rogue is that he might not be aware of it. And if he is aware of it, it's very frustrating. This is something that is just kind of consistent for Clem in the matchups all around. Is that it feels like, to me, when Clem gets a very good early game, he just wins. And you know it's coming, and there's just not so much you can do about it. I don't feel the same way often against other Terrans that tend to sit back a little bit more. Clem You know, he has these really strong systems in the early game, and if they succeed, if he gets the damage he wants, he pulls you apart with not the first 2 medavacs, but with the first 4. Oh, this was really bad actually. Holy crap. Lost a lot of Marines there for no reason. He's gonna commit though with tanks. It's all being spotted by Rogue, who has a burrowed Ling. Probably wants to send out a counterattack as a result. That's what I'd want to do if I'm Rogue. Yeah, look at that. The burrowed Ling here. Pretty much telegraphing what his opponent is doing. I love this. What a cute way of playing out a Rogue. We saw it in the last game as well. Just gathering full information on the movement. And as Clem, you don't want to waste too many scans here. The problem is that Rogue just doesn't have the units at home. If he just had 20 more supply, this would have been great for him. But he has 20 less supply. And thus, it is not very great for him. He's going to lose his fort base. He loses 8 drones. It's not looking to be in a brilliant position, to be quite honest. He seems to be in a quite crap position. Banelings are going to connect, as these tanks also are falling. Overlord still moving forward. Hive already on the way. 70 workers to 61, but right now these queens are in some serious trouble. Gonna survive for now. Oh my god, we have so many units coming out. Overlord plus Burrowed Ling, spotting everything. 69 workers. Hey, the 62. Banshee comes back in as well. This is typical Clem. This is typical Clem. Look at it. It doesn't even 2-shot anymore because there are carapace upgrades. Do you need level 2 carapace upgrades? I don't even know. We have another run-by coming in. Once again, these Burrowed Lings really providing a lot of value. Here comes an attack. Good marine block there. Stopping some of these banelings. Should have probably just tried blowing up a little bit quicker. Rogue is trying his absolute best, but he just doesn't have the drone count, and he doesn't really have the unit count either. This went well though. He killed a bunch of lings, or a bunch of drones. Kind of stopped this push, but once 2-2 finishers up here for Clem, the upgrades are going to be even once more. Maybe with Adrenal Glands we can see something useful. These links are so funny. So he knows there's a tank now moving across the map. He could take it out. Maybe he thinks there were other units with it though. Oh, gonna go for the defense. Yeah, it's not gonna be good enough. Simply is not. There's one queen over here. There's no way that Clem can drop down. Yeah, he's gonna reroute these medevacs. There's a hellbat in here. We have about what? 20-ish marines. A little bit less, I guess. I can't count. 18? There we go. Only 15 left of those. 5th base being retaken. Or I guess the 4th base gets killed. Turns into a 5th base. You have an Ultra Cavern on the way, but Clem is so far ahead. He's so far ahead. And as long as he can hit before there's Ultras out, even if he hits after Ultras are out, this is completely fine. Because he already is adding in Marauders. Like he has 8 Marauders. If you have like 10, 12 Marauders out by the time Ultras aren't even starting yet, that is an issue. Because you're going to need the Chitinous Plating as well here as the Zerg player. Gonna need the Chitinous Plating. You have +3 attack coming in right now. Should have +3 armor coming in soon as well. So upgrades are being pulled even. Here comes a fight. You have 5 tanks in the mix. And Clem moving in forward. Good luck with this fight, Rogue. I don't quite see it happen, to be honest. I don't quite see it happen. Could be wrong on this, but I don't think I am. Here we go. Comes in from the side. That is -1 tank. That is -2 tanks. That is it pretty much for Rogue when it comes to the Baneling count. He has 5 remaining. This can be targeted down just purely by Marines. Let's see if Clem is gonna do that or if he's just gonna move back into tank safety. There we go. 1 big shot. 2nd big shot. And that's going to be it for the Banes. 5 more on the way, but GG gets called already as Clem takes the lead and puts himself on match point. That brings us to game number 4. In which we have, what do we have? 6-ling opener. Gasless. Nice Rogue. The Koreans just love their gasless, man. What can I say? If they have an excuse to play gasless, they're playing freaking gasless. They're just environmentally friendly like that. Don't need none of that pollution here on the map. Not until they need it. Let's Clem doing meanwhile? It's gonna go for cars, second barracks. It's gonna be like 4 Hellion maybe. Maybe 2 Hellion. Into a 2-on-1 type of setup. It's so hard to kind of figure out what you have to do as a Terran on these maps. In the early game when you're playing against Gasless, because it feels like there are no good options. It's like, well, do I want to just straight up rush into Stim so I can start dealing damage, but then you give them a completely free early game? Or do I still want to get some Hellions to poke a little, but you shouldn't really do any damage anyway, so might as well try to attack a bit quicker? You know, do you want to get air units out? Like, it's really difficult to kind of find a balance. I think Terrans really struggle with that against Gasless in general. A lot of Terrans, as a result, have kind of resorted to going for Reaper openers on these types of maps, like triple Reaper, 4 Reaper, so you can still put on some pressure, and maybe even a bit longer than usual. It's still so hard though, because there's no solid rotation towards the third base. I think if you want to play Reaper, you almost need to mine this or something, but I mean, it's just not worth it. It's just not possible. It's so hard. But yeah, we've seen a lot of Reaper openers as a result on Crimson Court, like 2 Rex Reaper, 3 Rex Reaper, 4 Rex Reaper. If it had existed, I'm sure it would be played as well, but it doesn't, because it's not possible. Just have less units. What do we have over here? We have a starboard, 2-on-1. Yeah, standard stuff really out of Clem. Rogue meanwhile, look at the drone count here. This is what it's all about when you're playing Gasless, right? This is just what it's all about. Like oh, look at this, 14 drones. It's gonna go up to freaking 60. 64? That is a crazy amount of drones. I mean, we're gonna need something here though, Chief. Like, this has been fun so far, don't get me wrong, but... Okay, we're getting link speed, double evos. It's really nice to have a lot of money and a lot of drones, but... Okay, Roach Warren. Okay, it's gonna go for 1-1 Roach again then. Most likely. That's what I'm feeling, at least. Do we have anything to defend this drop? 7 queens, not even the 9 queens that are standard, just 7. Currently not even in position. There's no creep connecting these 2 bases. This is actually really scary. I am not feeling this at all for Rogue. He doesn't have any units. He's now starting 11 roaches. Loses 2 drones instantly. Queen's in a little bit of trouble. 1 queen goes down. Drones being pulled to fight Marines, which is something you never want to see if you're a Zerg player. Yeah, that's a lot of drones here going down. Both medevacs stay alive and a couple of Marines fall. This was not a great start here for Rogue, who kind of missed his timing. I'm not sure how that is possible, because this is a very straight up defense against the Marines. Like, you know exactly when it's gonna hit. You just need to have units and you need to have them in position. And he had no units and he definitely wasn't in position. So really the only 2 things you have to do is weren't achieved. Just kind of wild to think about. We have some links now popping out. We have a double Hellion attack here. Okay, roaches are still trying to hide. I'm not sure from what. So it probably would be better to just fight these Marines and make sure you don't take any more damage. Rogue has completely stopped droning up as well. Clem, where are we at with the tank count? We have 1, we have a second one, 25% done perhaps. First Ravager on the way, we get a scan in the main base, sees the lack of gas mining there, sees the lack of queens. Clem still active on the map as Rogue moves across. Bunkers now starting, 2 bunkers on the way. First tank sieges up in the natural. Really all Clem needs to do is defend his natural. He doesn't need to hold the third base. Perhaps he can, but he doesn't need to. That's what's important here. Second tank is now out. Clem is moving in position to try and deal with this. There's simply no Ravagers at all to speak of whatsoever. 1-1 not complete for the Terran player. Tank's in a little bit of trouble. The Marines dealing so much damage. As the Roaches, I don't quite think are going to be enough. The tank in the back dishing out a crap ton. With its long range, with the fat shells that it shoots. As if he's being pulled off the line. A couple of workers will end up going down, but Clem is simply just going to hold this without any major issues that I can see. The next 2 tanks are already in production. We have more Marines now coming out as well. And I am loving this. I am loving this for Clem. I really am. 61 workers to 50, no 2-2 on the way. The next tank shows up on the high ground. We have a tank going towards the low ground. Factory is being repaired by SCVs as these balls are not going to connect. And the difference in defense here is very, very big. Game number 1 to game number 4. as Clem now just pretty much holds. Doesn't have to do too much anymore, just kind of stay alive for another minute or so. Then once we have the next set of tanks, we're gonna go up to 5 tanks, which is a number I don't really see Rogue break anymore. I just don't quite see it. Roach count is still increasing, of course, which is neat. 2 2-stars. Understandably. Bunker is about to finish up as well. And 2 tanks very far in the back. Do we have an overseer for high ground vision? No, we don't. So that means that the high ground tank is never going to get killed. Next tank shows up as well. Here we go. A couple of good zoning biles are not quite going to connect though. But yeah, this is a fairly one-sided affair as Rogue going to have to tuck his still. Run home and yeah, taps out. Clem wins the game, wins the series. Relatively one-sided, I think, after the first game. Second game felt like Rogue had an okay early game, but Clem just a little bit too good still for the recent military return. I'm gonna keep an eye on Rogue though, because he did look impressive for only having been back for like a month and a half. Wondering to see what he's, gonna bring to us in the future. Artosis is gold. All right, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Bye-bye.